These developments is Counselor to the President, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Tough act to follow with yesterday's interview.
Yeah, yesterday's. And by the way, I know our producers were working for a very long time to try to set that up. Thank you very much for making that all happen. It was great.
So the president wanted to do that. The president had a great time bringing his case directly to the American people, as he does on social media and these bilateral Q&As, certainly at the South Lawn and in the press pool sprays and with other interviews. And the president has said that he would like to perhaps come once a month, and as news breaks, but he'll keep us guessing.
Come to Fox and Friends once a month?
Yes.
All right.
He said that he'd like to replicate that on a pretty much a monthly basis. And back in the private sector, he was on every week, every Monday morning, certain times, the same time every week, and he was able to go through 15 or 20 minutes of his view on policy. And many people went back and listened to those interviews for some clues as to how he might govern as president and what his positions would be on the issues of the day. And you see that consistency, that unbroken thread between some of those interviews and much of the policy he's doing today. But I had to credit him yesterday. I said, you didn't even put a semicolon in there. He just covered so much territory that he leaves the rest of us cold in terms of our analytical and conversational skills. And the president was able to cover so much ground with you yesterday and appreciated the platform because it connects him with the American people, not just on Fox News, but that really was the buzz around the globe yesterday in large part because everybody had to replay your clips. That must have been delicious.
Well, and amazingly, I mean, as you know, with the 24-hour news cycle, so much has happened even since that interview yesterday, specifically in Korea, in North Korea. The war, so the President Trump's been up tweeting this morning as he loves to talk directly to the people. He says Korean war to end. The United States and all of its great people should be very proud of what is now taking place in Korea. What is coming out of the White House this morning? The timing of this, Kellyanne, you think just weeks away from that meeting President Trump is going to have or is supposed to have with Kim Jong-un. What do you say this morning?
Abby, it would be difficult to overstate the consequences, significance, and the rapid succession of events in short order. And this president created the climate that allows for this. Obviously, North and South Korea had not met in this fashion in a very long time. The people there have suffered for many, many years. And it's this president who wishes to achieve what so many other presidents have either attempted or, in fact, promised and not been able to deliver upon. I think the timing of CIA Director and now Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's confirmation yesterday, which, by the way, wasn't close, the timing of his confirmation as our new Secretary of State. He got sworn in by Justice Alito and then went on a trip. This is incredibly important because it is Secretary of State Pompeo has already been over there meeting with Kim Jong-un and setting the stage. And it's this president who has said he is willing to come to the table, but he always has an exit strategy. If it's not working for the American people, if it's not working for diplomatic purposes, then he can just walk away. That's what deal makers and negotiators do.
Kellyanne, I was fascinated to see that he told us yesterday that Mike Pompeo wasn't even scheduled to meet with Kim Jong-un. He had heard he was in another meeting with his contemporary in another part of the building, and he asked him to come over, and then they had this hour meeting. What do you think that tells you about what could be happening? This might just be a different script than we've been seeing for 65 years.
Well, that's really the point here. Thank you for raising that. It's really North Korea that's responding to what the president is making happen and what South Korea is making happen. And even the president was thanking China today because we know that a denuclearized Korean peninsula benefits everyone, not just in that region, certainly Americans. But as is his wont, this morning on his social media platform, the president credited the American people and said they should be very happy. This is a democracy. They elected him to be the commander-in-chief and the president of the United States, and that carries with it the ability to make significant, dramatic changes in short order. I think many elements of the swamp are still not accustomed to Trump-Pence pace. They operate on swamp speed. But when you see actions like this around the globe, you recognize the difference it makes to have a non-politician who's been thinking about these issues for many years in a very different way and bringing together a national security and diplomatic team around him that agrees and is forging ahead thusly.
And everybody is on the same page regarding that. Fingers crossed that something good happens in North and South Korea. Meanwhile, Kellyanne, when the president was on with us yesterday, it was shortly after it was announced that Admiral Ronnie Jackson was going to pull his name as the next VA Secretary nominee. We did ask the president if he had another name in mind. He said yes. He did reveal it was somebody who did have some government experience. When's the president going to be announcing this new person?
Well, he's expected to announce a new Veterans Administration nominee on his timetable. It will be in the near future. And there are many people who would like to have that position because there are many people committed to continuing the president's agenda of progress for veterans. I mean, one thing lost in all the mainstream media maelstrom coverage and the character assassination of Admiral and Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who has served honorably 3 different presidents, has glowing recommendations, including please promote him ahead of his peers by none other than President Barack Obama. That aside, there are many people who want to build on the progress because lost in the maelstrom of character assassination has been how much progress this president has made with respect to our nation's veterans. He says the VA Choice Act is close at hand, the Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act, the 24/7 hotline, the disposition of veterans' benefits. There are so many different pieces of legislation, executive actions that have happened in 16 short months that truly have improved the lives of our veterans. This president ran for many reasons, but you've got to put military veterans, law enforcement top of the list, and he's delivering on those promises. He is discussing that list of possibilities with folks internally. I've been part of some of those conversations, and I'm not going to get ahead of the president in making personnel announcements. And I hope that Dr. Jackson holds his head high and recognizes that this could be a brutal town where people not under oath are going out on TV and saying things anonymously and without letting him have his say. And I hope he will have his day and his say at some point.
Yeah, you know, Democrats could, if they wanted to be nice about it, they could have gone back to the White House secretly and said, hey, we've got these concerns, can you take a look at it, versus dragging him through the mud so publicly. It's unfortunate that had to happen. But a big day tomorrow. It is National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. This is something that is so important for many people across this country, but for you in particular, Kellyanne.
Abby, thank you for amplifying it today on Fox and Friends. This is a nonpartisan issue in search of bipartisan solutions, and one of the best ways that we prevent misuse of opioid drugs, prescription opioids, is to clear out expired, unnecessary, unused prescriptions from your medicine cabinet, your pocket, your pocketbooks, your kitchen counters. So many heroin users self-report that they started with prescription opioids. They were misusing their own prescription and they were misusing other people's prescription. So National Take Back Day is put forth by the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration. Essentially, you can go to CVS, Walgreens, you can go to local law enforcement, you can go to takebackday.dea.gov. and to find a local drop-off point. All you do is take those unused prescriptions, tell your neighbors, your colleagues, your community, grandmom and grandpa, clear them out and dispose them. Last Take Back Day in October, the president talked about it, he tweeted about it, he did his radio address about it. And we collected a historic 900,000 pounds. I want to repeat that. 900,000 pounds of tiny little pills, enough to fill 3 Boeing 757 aircraft. So clear them out. This president in his policy rollout has called for a 30% reduction in prescribing over the next 3 years. You cut down the demand by cutting the supply. So folks, don't hoard them. Get rid of them. You can't flush them. That goes into the drinking water. You can't just throw them away because that can get in the hands of pets or children or folks who are trying to misuse prescriptions. Take Back Day, 10 to 2 tomorrow. Check it out. Lots of locations around the country.
It is, as you said, not political. It saves lives.
That's
Kellyanne, so important.
Thank you very much for joining us. And,
Thank you.
And breaking some news at the top of this interview, starting, in the next month or so, the President of the United States will stop by Fox and Friends once a month. We're going to ask him some hard questions, and then he's going to answer them.
Or as breaking news warrants, is what he said. But hey, it's almost May. May starts Tuesday.
The tease. All right. Thank you so much, Kellyanne. Good to see you this morning.
Take care.
Well, that's going to be great. That was quite an event
Isn't
yesterday.
there news all the time?
There is. All right. Meanwhile, straight ahead, the European Union has a new campaign to fight fake news. But Steve Hilton says it's a battle they will not win. Steve Hilton, next.
And South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster joins Ainsley live at her alma mater.